Hi, Pete Santoro with Software Automation. I'm at a supplier conference in Bangkok, Thailand. This is my first time to Bangkok. Usually these supplier conferences happen in Hong Kong, but given all the unrest in Hong Kong, it's been moved to Bangkok, which is interesting because Bangkok is incredibly centrally located. Within about a 2,000 mile ring, you can get to about 80% of the population in Asia. So Bangkok holds a unique future opportunity, I think, for the Asian region. But this supplier conference, I was sitting on a panel on best practices in automation. It was looking at both apparel and footwear, and a couple of the topics that came up that I thought would be beneficial just to bring up here. One of them was, how do you scale cost-efficient automations or technologies across products? And usually when that's brought up by the brand, they're thinking about how that technology can spread across manufacturers, but they're not usually the ones buying the technology. Usually it's a manufacturer, an individual manufacturer. And the issue with that is that a manufacturer just doesn't have that much scale. Even if they have lots of units that they can scale a technology across, they have a limited amount of time that they can see into those units. So they may have only a commitment for 24 months for those units, or 18 months. So it raises some issues. And my point around this is the most effective partnerships that we see are usually a brand and a manufacturer, set of manufacturers working together around what the future will be. That type of relationship dramatically offsets the risk of any new technology and cost associated with it. It also dramatically increases the scale and value that you can bring to the organization. Yes, you can bring it across products, but you can bring it across manufacturers, and that's where you're going to get the greatest value and scale. To automation of existing products versus automation of new products. The battle there is that you have existing products that you have a clear line of sight on what their cost and revenue structure is, and if you can affect that with automation, there's a lot of wins to have. The difficulty downside of that is it's more difficult to automate an existing product with a fixed design than a new product. So if I can automate 60% of the product, but 40% is difficult to automate unless some design changes are made, people are going to be more resistant to those design changes because that product in market is successful as is, right? Versus a new product that's created based off of understanding what automation has available. That product may be able to be created or made 100% automated. However, there's no line of sight into how successful that product is. And it risks, obviously, more marketing spend. It risks dilution of existing market, right, for a product, and just spreading yourself too thin. So both ends have risk associated with them, but I think it's an interesting question around this automation for existing products versus using automation for new products. The third was low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit I always talk about in terms of what are some of the easiest wins for factories to add automation. Cutting room floor, the packing, kind of movement of goods from one station to another, and then packing, folding, shipping. Those two areas you can find a lot of automation with proven ROI. The third is templates. So where can you provide either laser or hardware-based templates that de-skill worker labor, speed up production, and reduce inconsistencies. Those are kind of fundamental to the business. You need them. Look at every single station. How can you de-skill it? And the fourth one was brought up is just, where are your spreadsheets? How often are you sending spreadsheets back and forth? What type of spreadsheets? Is there a way to do that in kind of a digital space where you can share that information quicker, in a more standardized way, in a more collaborative way? And I think this is a low-tech space in a lot of ways. It's the manufacturers aren't always the most necessarily upgrade their technology stacks that often, and so there's a lot of opportunity to bring a digital tool inside of the workforce and see an ROI on it. So those are 4 places, and the last one is just, what's AI's impact on the shop floor? I can just say, kind of breaking that down to robotics and artificial intelligence in terms of decision making, big data and analytics. Robotics is definitely entering the shop floor for manufacturers of apparel. It's definitely taking work, but it's not taking jobs. The jobs are being upskilled into higher margin, more complex operations. That's good for the worker, that's good for the manufacturer. Not yet are the robotics taking jobs. They are taking work, and there's less workers to be had. So it doesn't matter what country anymore. This used to be a U.S. problem. It doesn't matter. It's world over. The more services, the more retail come into countries, the more hospitality, the more alternatives that workers have. One manufacturer was talking about how workers didn't want to work there because they couldn't text with their boyfriend, right? So it was affecting their dating life, manufacturing. So they've had to add Wi-Fi to AGVs that basically drive around the factory and provide a couple hours of Wi-Fi access for texting on the manufacturing floor. So I don't see robots really taking work. And that being said, I do see artificial intelligence impact on the staffing admin side of the house being significant in the years to come. So planning, forecasting, analysts, the spreadsheet categories, jobs, I do see artificial intelligence ability to impact that, to plan resources more effectively, to allocate inventory in a more effective way. I do see those being significant areas of impact by artificial intelligence over the coming years, and I think the ROI will be significant, so that it's available to all manufacturers. Hope that was interesting. Hope that was helpful. That's kind of what my week's been like here in Bangkok at the Supplier Conference, and look forward to getting back to Atlanta, Georgia, and seeing what event comes up next. Thanks.